What's up everybody, welcome back to another drawing tutorial. So today we're going to be drawing Madara versus the first Hokage. So we're gonna, it's a white page. So two characters, Madara on this side, Hashirama on this side. So we're going to start with Madara. And we're going to start just with his nose, the curved line for his nose. So we're in above halfway and we're over just across here, just in from the middle line of your page a little bit, just here. So that's where his nose is going to be. So we're just going to curve this line up for his nose, just here. And he's sort of frowning, so he's got some wrinkles on top right here. So just say some like wrinkle lines like that. Then his nose is going to curve around here, like so. And then this is going to come down to his bottom lip. His top lip. So, just like so. So that's his nose sticking out. Remember guys, if I go too fast, hit your pause button, and I'd suggest to use a pencil as well. So, top lip, it's going to come back in this way. This is going to go towards his open mouth. So his mouth's open, they're both screaming at one another, and they've got two jutsu fingers sticking up. So we're going to curve this around, like so, down to there. And then this is going to go back in, like so. And then, actually it's like kind of like a letter C for his open mouth. And then we have his bottom lip just coming off that way. Then we have some teeth. So we got the teeth at the top, just in there. And we have the teeth at the bottom, just coming down here, like so. We can see some of his tongue, just there. And then his open mouth. So we got like the other side of his mouth is curving down here, like so. So now we go down to his chin. So this is going to come in like so, a little bit, just for his chin. And it comes out again at the bottom, just here. Then we go back around for his chin, just here, up to his jaw, like so. So Madara has real long hair. Well, they both have long hair, but Madara's hair covers his face a good bit. So we've a big long line of hair right here, real big, like so. Comes down to a spike right here. This goes up real far, so it's like, his hair is mostly black anyway, so don't worry if you do a thick line or a thin line. It's all going to be mostly black or grey, like so. So he's another smaller one just coming in here on, say, his face, and then this goes up like so, past his eye, where his eye would be, up to his forehead, and then it comes back down the other side. So it's just going to go down, back down this way. And it just goes in behind his eyebrow there. Just there. So then in here we have his eye. So we could do the top eyelid line. So it just curves across this way, like so. Goes underneath that hair, and then it comes back out the bottom, curving out this way, like so. And then we have actually the line for his eyeball. So it curves that way. And then we have his Rinnegan and a bit of a pupil inside. So like is a small, like a tiny little dot maybe for a pupil just here. You can barely see it. And then his Rinnegan, the circles for the Rinnegan. So 1, 2, and maybe a third just here, and maybe a fourth. We can probably see a fourth, like that. Then his eyelids, so we have a line underneath there for his bottom eyelid. It's curving up like so. And then his top eyelid line as well, just curving up around there. You can see his eyebrow. It's just like a tick coming up that way. And then we just make it thicker at the bottom and like thinner at the top, just here. And then maybe some frown lines or some wrinkle lines just to make it look like he's a bit angrier, just here. Like so, and his nostril, just in here. Right, so the picture I'm drawing from, they're reanimated. You don't have to do the reanimated lines if you don't want to, but I'm just going to add them in anyway, just for fun. You could leave them off if you wanted and have them just normal. But it's totally up to you what way you want to do that. I'm just going to put them in anyway in case there's some people who want to do them. So. Right, so we'll do the rest of his hair and then we'll go down to his neck. So this piece of hair keeps going down past his nose, past his lip, comes out here, comes down to a spike, comes back up then into there. Then we have another spike coming down from that, so it's like here. And then this goes back up to there. Then we have another one sticking off here. Back up like so. Spiking straight up now, this way. Like that. Then a big one goes up that way. Into there. And then most of his hair goes up off the page this way. So you might have a line or two for that, or you could just colour it sort of black and grey. So we have his ear in here and more hair spikes. So we'll do the hair spike first and then we'll place the ear. So I think we have like a hair spike coming down to here. It's kind of hard to see, but I think it goes back up that way. Like so. And then of course you have more hair that goes well off back that way. But there's all shades of grey and black and stuff if you were colouring it in. So in here then we can just see his ear. So it's just going to curve up like so. Right, so that's his hair. Right, so we can just see some of his neck and his colour of his uniform. So we can see like curved line for his neck just here. So that's like the collar, and then this comes up underneath his ear on this side, so it just comes back into here and around like so. And there might be some reanimated cracks on his neck, of course, just there. And then we have a fold for the collar and comes down towards his body, and then maybe a line here for the other side of the collar there, like that. We have another big hair spike just here coming out from this one, so it just comes down like right there and then joins a spike here. Right, so he has shoulder armor right here. So he's got that big Senju sort of shoulder armor, that massive. I know he's not Senju, don't freak out. He's not of the Sharingan clan. So that's the shoulder armor, and this comes back this way, down towards his shoulder. And this one's going to come off the page that way. And there's a joined section just here, like So this joins body armor, so it comes down with a string, so just like a line like that and a line in the middle, just there. And the other one is on this side, so it comes down from his other shoulder armor that's here and goes off that way, goes behind his hand, this one, so it's just like an L shape there, and then that other string comes down to about there, and then it touches the top of this body armor. So say the corner of it is here, and then this has to come down across his body, so like all this way up into here and around. So this is like the armor for his chest, and this is going to curve down this way. So it curves down like so, and it meets one of those like stitches or something that's keeping it on, keeping it together. And then the rest of it goes down this way, diagonally that way, because he's lunging forward, so his body, most of his body is going off this way. And then the other side of the armor comes off this way and off the page there. And then we have like some sections of it. So say the top, so we have a section here. This meets another one of these stitches or buttons that's keeping it together. And then this is going to come across and up to here. You might see a bit of that coming out the other side. And then, so this goes down towards his leg, so we have another stitch here, and then this curves across like so, and then we have another section just here. So they're like plates, you know, armored plates stitched together, it looks like, with these things. And we just have to do a line for his armpit just in here, so like there, and then one coming up here. And so he's leg armor. So we have another piece of armor coming out here, comes down off my page, and another one that goes like diagonal this way, I think. Yeah. So this goes diagonal like down off my page there, and then we have the top of his leg armor just here. So this has a couple of sections of it. So it goes out that way and back down, and then we have some sections just here and one here. And they have some of those buttons that keep it together as well, those stitches or buttons. Not sure what they are really. I think stitches. Stitches make sense. So you can colour these black if you want, or darker red. I'm not sure the official colour of them anyway. Just for ease of drawing, I'm going to do them black, just so they stand out maybe a bit more. Right, so now we got to do his hand. So he's doing a jutsu, both of them are. So 2 fingers sticking up, right? So top of the finger, just here. Next finger, index, sticking up a bit further, comes around like so. Then these fingers come down, like so, bumping maybe at the bottom. And then this one comes down like this, like so. And then we have to do the line in the middle. And of course, his thumb is coming across the bottom of those 2 fingers. So it goes this way. And then curves around, like so. And then the knuckle of his glove, his hand, he's got a glove on of course, comes down that way. And then this curves around like so, goes all the way down underneath the palm of his hand, up the other side. Up this way, like so. And then when you go up that side, you're going to meet the little finger, okay? So, yeah, so the little finger just here. So we can see it coming in this direction. Curves around the bottom. Goes back up. And then into there. Then we go around this side. You could add like a fold for his skin underneath his glove. And then we need one more finger. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, one more in here. So we go up to there. Diagonal that way. And bring it down a bit further. And then we have to do the top of that finger just in here, underneath the thumb. Just in there. And then it's a curved line for the thumb. And a line for the palm of his hand, just there. Might be a knuckle line or two. And then, so Madara has, so he's at the bottom of his glove, so we do a curved line here. Like so. And then we can see a little bit of skin for his wrist or his hand. Just there. And then this comes down to his arm. So we can see, how much of that can we see? Not very much. So it comes out here. Comes around to his elbow down there. And then it's going to come all the way back into his body. So it's going to go this way. That's his elbow. And then we go into here. Right into there. And you might have some fold lines for his armpit, for his clothes. Going back that way. In towards his arm. And there should be some bumps here. I can't see them in the picture, but I'm going to add them anyway. There should be some just there. Yeah, I think that's right. Maybe some clotheslines there. Up to here. So then the top of his shoulder, so we have this shoulder armor as well. So it's like, this is like a collar, so it's smaller on this side. So we gotta add that first. So we like do a box in here. We give it an edge. Make it look a bit 3D. And then his shoulder pad comes off this way. But this is going to go behind Hashirama's hand, so we don't go all the way, so we don't really finish it. We're just going to leave it as a line, kind of like that. Just in here. And then Hashirama's hand, his elbow goes like in towards here. So they're kind of touching, they're pretty close. I like close, made them come closer together. So it's like his elbow's like right in here as well. So they're locking eyes, so we'll go over and do the first Hokage now. Let's see. Alright, so that goes that way. Right, so we'll do his nose just like this one. So we're middle, that's our middle, right across from Madara's nose, we're going to start Hashirama's nose. So this curves up again, like so. So that goes underneath his headband, just in there. And then his nose is going to come around like that. Pretty much like this one. So we're going to hit his top lip, just here. And then this comes around, like so. He's screaming as well, so we curve this like a letter C. Just there. like so his mouth's open, so it's facing down that way. And this comes round for his bottom lip. And we give him some teeth. Teeth in there. Top teeth. And some bottom teeth just in here. Just in there and down. And we can see a bit of his tongue and the other side of his mouth as well. So it comes that way. Might be able to see the other side of his teeth on that one as well. Now this is going to come down to his chin. So we go in that way. Bring it diagonal down and around for his chin. This goes up to his jaw. Like so. This hits his collar, like on Madara's side. So, big collar. I'll finish that in a minute. We'll finish his face first. So his big collar goes the whole way back to his hair. So his, let's see, so we have his jaw. So his jaw comes up in behind that collar, goes up that way. And this is going to come around for his ear. Just a big curved line, just there. And then we're going to join that back up with his headband. So the line for his headband just right here comes across right to there. And now we can do his eye. So right in here, we're going to do a line across like so, underneath his headband. Then we're going to do the bottom eyelid, curving this way, like that. Sorry if I'm going really fast, guys, it's just, I don't want the video to be too long. So use your pause button. And then we have to do the actual line for his eyeball. So this is going to go up this way. And then his iris in there. He just has standard old eyes. Doesn't have a crazy jutsu or anything going on. And this is going to meet his eyebrow. So it's just like a tick coming down here. You could make the bottom end a bit thicker if you wanted. Like so. And then a frown line just on the side of his nose there, and maybe inside here too. Just a bit of detail. And he needs a nostril, of course, to breathe. Forgot about that. And he's a sideburn, just here, letter V. And his ears, so his ligaments, bones and ligaments. So like the easiest way to do this is like just a letter J. So it just goes like down that way. You could leave it like that if you wanted, but to add a bit more detail, we'll go like this. Add a little point here, and then fill it in with a couple more bones and ligament lines, just like that. Of course, he's reanimated as well in this picture, so there's some reanimated jutsu going on, so we gotta add these lines coming across. Down his neck as well. Like so. Right, so his headband. So this comes out from his brow. Comes up, straight up like that. Well, straight, but diagonal that way. So their heads are always leaning this way, so that means the line for their face is diagonal. So then, let's see, so this goes up a little bit further and then goes across to here. It actually goes the whole way around his head, but we have a bit of a hair spike just here, so it comes down real long. Really long, so it goes like all the way down to there. And then the other side of it comes down this way. like so. And then the rest of his headband is going to go off that way. But we'll do his metal plate first. So we'll just put that right there. And then do a diagonal line down here into there. And then make it a bit 3D, add another line coming down the side. And some bolts and stuff holding on the headband. Now you can see some of the Leaf Village symbol, so we just do a semicircle, another one with a bird's beak. Right, so now his headband goes all the way to, say, there. So that's the back of his headband, just here, right? And then we go real long. And this has to go back as well, so this goes all the way to there. And he has a few bumps and maybe some reanimated lines on it as well. Then the top of his head curves this way. Might go off my page a little bit there. It's tight. Just like so. And he's another hair spike coming down here. So like Madara, he's got this armor on for his shoulder, so we'll finish that. So it goes off there. And then it's going to go back and off the page that way. And then his hair's in there. So bring that up like so. Bring it back down for a spike. Off the page, back that way. If you have more room, of course, you keep going with the hair. It's up to you. Like so. And then this shoulder armor, we got to do the underneath part. So we go down that way. And then we curve it off. Back off the page there. This has a join where it's sitting on his shoulder. So it curves around his shoulder. A curvy line like that. And there might be another segment or a section, say just here, with one of those stitches or buttons on it. There's usually two in each section, but it's off the page there, so I can't see it. So his collar on the other side of his face, so comes off just at his nose here, comes out from behind his head. So it actually like goes around, you know, like this one. Goes back behind this side, but we can't see it. It comes down to there. And then comes up to here. Now we're just going to make it stick out a little bit, give it a bit of a 3D shape. Like so. Oops. So that should go down to there. Should go down a bit further. Oops. Mistake. Just there. And then this comes back like so. Forgot to finish the rest of his hair in here actually. So just curve that in there. And another line there. So his body armor. So we're going to come down from his shoulder armor, like Madara, just over here, same thing. And we'll do his neck, of course. So we have two lines. 1, 2. 2 lines here. 1, 2. Do one in the middle of them. Like so. His neck, we can only see a bit of it, just in here. And then we have the collar of his uniform, just there. And some lines for his neck, muscles, and shoulder lines and stuff just here. So next, body armor plate. So curve it around here, goes off the page. This curves up to the other piece, just here, curves around like so. This is going to come down this direction, come in. This is one section, so the next section will go down this way. So this goes all the way down into here, and we have another section of armor just there. And we need a line for this section coming across just there, and maybe another one. No, just one. That's the second one. Sorry, yeah. So this one, and then so we have his leg armor. That's hard to see. So we have one piece of leg armor. Oh yeah, we're coming out this way, and then it comes back into here. And this has a couple of sections. So one section and two section, and then another section coming out underneath, and it kind of goes back up in towards his body, maybe in here like that. And this has, of course, those stitches on him, those round, these guys. One and one here, and maybe a couple on his leg. Maybe one here as well. Right, so there's a line just for his arm and his armpit just in there, and then the underside of his body, so like his chest, there's a line for his chest just here. And this is going to meet his arm, but we'll draw his hand first because it's always easier to draw the hand first, and then join it all up together afterwards like we did Madara. So two fingers again, so you do a letter M, one higher than the other. Bring it down, bumping like that, bring it down the other side, and then a line down the middle. So like Madara, it's pretty much the exact same as Madara's, nearly, except we have to put fingernails because he doesn't have a glove on. So we meet his thumb just here. All around. Like so. And there's like a thumbnail just in here. And then this comes out to his knuckle. Comes down around. Pretty much the same as this. It's going to bump around for the bottom of his hand. Curve up this way to the little finger now. So curving up around to a knuckle. And then comes back down. Around for the tip of his finger, back up. Into there. And then we have a skin line and a fingernail line or two just there. And then the middle finger, so just in here, like Madara's one, curving around in there, and then back to here, back around for the tip of the finger, back into there, and then you might have like a knuckle line or two just along here, maybe one there. And then fingernail just in there, and through thumb underneath, the line for the thumb just here as well. And inside for the palm of his hand, and a line there for the palm of his hand. And now we can do his arm. So his arm, right, going right into Madara's. They're real close together. That one goes in behind Madara's hand as well. And his elbow, so it comes down. They're elbow to elbow, forearm to forearm. They're really fighting. This kind of curves into here. right back like so. And then this line goes back into his body just here. And then we have some fold lines for his clothing just in here. One maybe. Just there. And then his shoulder armor is just up here, like kind of Madara's that was on this side. Did we finish that? I don't think. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we just gotta add maybe a section, a curved line here for another section, maybe with a stitch on it like that. So his arm, Hashirama, his armor is like, so it's at the base of, say, this collar part, so curved, goes into his hand, and then it comes out there, yeah. And then it's going to go around behind his headband, so it's going to go, yeah, around his finger, back into there, and then into the headband, just there. And then we have a section line just there. It's got a stitch. It's got a stitch actually flying off here, and another one here. And I think that's everything. So we have, so his arm is here. Might be a bit of a curved line just here underneath his wrist. I'll just make sure. Yeah, so just here we can see a bit of his skin of his wrist like that. And I think that's it. Of course, you can add more crack lines and resurrection lines and stuff all over their clothes and things, but I will leave that up to you. You don't have to add too much, but yeah, that's it. Hashirama, first Hokage. I think I'm saying it right. And Madara from Naruto. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.